Welcome to the BXG podcast, the podcast where pop culture and nerd culture meet at the nexus of the universe and are melded as seamlessly as holographic Tupac and questionable shelter quarters. If you are a renowned wizard, among other things, I am one of your hosts, the Alpha Donut Guy, Bretton Beswick, alongside my co-host Gregory T. Filson, and the T is for 3.
It is for 3. It's for third place because we're out here celebrating third places in the industry. And I'm not talking about Croatia winning the World Cup third place game. I'm talking about a little movie called Avatar, The Way of the Water, third best opening weekend in the pandemic era. If domestically,
worldwide,
domestically third best. So yeah, third best. Out there celebrating things like that, hilarious. That like actual account celebrating that.
Who said that? Who's celebrating that?
I don't. They did. They had a thing like, "Whoa, third best ever in the pandemic era." So good for them.
The pandemic era is over. Like that's Hell not a thing,
is. Right? It's a fun thing to add. Like we just say, we're the whatever podcast of the pandemic era. It's like it's over. You can go see movies.
Who? Again, though, I don't know.
I saw it come up on like an Avatar fan site thing today during my thing.
That doesn't count.
I don't. It does count to me. No, it does count. They're celebrating it. Third best. Good for you, James. Jimmy, good job, Jimmy. You did it. Good luck getting that $2 billion.
Number 1 movie in the world.
Keep this movie in theaters for the next 8 months, and you might get there.
We'll see.
I'm not going to go too long about it. The only thing is he didn't shut his damn mouth about it.
Yeah, that
was the problem, because I wouldn't have cared at all. You and I, when we knew it was going to come out, we were like, okay, not interested. And then it became a thing where he made it a personal vendetta to like take down anything that was ever made. That was anything that, whether we liked it or didn't, or just like, I'm the best at any movie maker ever. And this is it. So glad to see it got third place domestically, 5th worldwide
this year.
They just don't make a 5th place medal. So I just didn't have that. So
I'm kind of over just talking about it
now.
Honestly.
My thing is I'm over it now because I feel justified now. Justin Timberlake voice.
Yeah,
people didn't care people didn't care as much about it as they cared about Spider-Man or Top Gun, or that's where I'm at. It was like he made it seem like it was the best thing, since fucking sliced bread, and
yeah,
it wasn't. People literally have nothing better to do than see this movie, and people didn't.
I think that, and not to belabor the point, but I think his some of the things that he had to say during his media tour, it certainly turned the two of us off. I can't imagine that we were the only 2 people turned off by that. But it is what it is. And I think that it did well this weekend. I think I was just actually looking at it, the worldwide, I don't have it up anymore. The worldwide box was, I don't know. It was soft. It wasn't what they had hoped for. I know that.
Sure.
But it still did very well. And I think that, though, critically, Rotten Tomatoes currently 77% and audience score 93%. And I think a lot of the reviews that I saw from critics were, it is very much, it's very visually stunning, not a lot of tangible plot, and that it was actually very violent. And I saw that, I was just kind of reviewing some of the audience scores on RT, and it was, the people who liked it,
Sure.
and they kind of, worth the wait, visual, blah, 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 which is fine. I mean, I think we all knew that it was going to be very visually appealing. And then the audience members that didn't like it kind of echoed what the critics said, which was not a lot of plot, a little bit too violent, way too long. And so George Lucas said when the original Star Wars came out that, and people were, oh, it's doing great opening weekend. And he said, all science fiction movies do well opening weekend. Talk to me in a month.
Right.
And when he saw that, with A New Hope, that people continue to come back and come back, that it was a hit. And I think that, excuse me, with name recognition and the fact that there's really nothing else out right now, I think that the fact that the launch was soft is probably not great news for them. I mean, it's still made over $400 million,
Yeah.
but as he said, to be profitable, it's going to have to be one of the like 3 or 4 best selling movies of all time. And it seems to me like it's probably going to be very difficult to get to that point if they're opening soft. Now, the original had a very long tail, as we
Yeah.
know, and it did very well in terms of worldwide box office. So we'll see. I don't think that the book is written yet on this film, but I can say that if this, I mean, if it like, it's crazy to say this, but if it only comes away with like $1 billion in gross,
It's a failure.
it's a failure. Yeah.
It's a massive
And
failure, actually.
yeah. So, and like you said, especially with kind of the way that he spoke about it in such a very off-putting way and I think that it's just like, with phase 4 not being quite as good, I think it's really, and then with the DC stuff being super hit or miss the whole way through outside of Batman, it's really easy to like hate on superhero movies and stuff like that. But I do think that there is, from all of these different directors who are very, in a sense, they're auteurs like Scorsese and Villanueva and Tarantino and Cameron, is, they cast stones at Marvel for different reasons. And I think that part of it is because what makes money is stuff like this, whether this reaches its goals or not, but what makes money is stuff like this. And I don't think that, number one, that is exactly new to anyone. I mean, Jurassic Park in the 90s, some of these other things, Indiana Jones, Star Wars, obviously, what have you. But I think that there's so much of it now. And there used to be, like, especially around this time of year, there used to be a nice pocket for movies that were considered like Oscar bait, right? And this is where you would see movies like The Departed or Django or Kill Bill or whatever else. Like, this was the pocket. There's not, blockbusters are for the summer.
Yeah.
It's for Memorial Day. It's for 4th of July. That's when the blockbusters happen. But now, due to the fact that you have this massive Marvel franchise, the DC stuff, Fast and Furious has to be lumped in there with that. Those make tons of money, and there's 10 of them at this point. There's really no room to breathe for these movies that are more, in terms of filmmaking, more masterful towards the craft. And I think that that's a big issue, is that these other directors are feeling, is they kind of get drowned out by all the noise. But I also wonder how much of it is not understanding truly what moviegoers want.
And I just, on this end of things, the one thing I want to say is, if you are a fan of Avatar, the original, and you're a fan of it, I'm actually, like, the fan service thing, like, I'm not crapping on any of these people. If you like this movie, that's awesome. Good for you. Like, I'm only crapping on the man that made this movie, because he's literally laughing at movies that are CGI. When his movie, that's my point, is it's fantasy CGI. His movie's not real. I like everybody else's stuff. Tarantino, Scorsese, real movies with things that like could happen.
Sure.
That's my problem with it, is that he's shitting on something that is essentially the same thing. It is. They're not superhumans, but aren't they? I mean, it's this weird thing where and that's the problem I actually have. I'm not crapping on the fans. If you like, it's making fun of someone because their favorite book something. It's like, no, that's dumb. If you like this movie, that's awesome. Good for you. My thing was, he was just so arrogant about it. And it just, that irritated me.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I would have seen this either way. But the way that he just crapped on everything and then also just, sucked himself off on this, it drove me nuts.
Yeah.
Because we talked about his filmography. It's not that good, honestly. It just isn't compared to other directors. And then he also is just like, right. And then it's also, let me crap on these movies that literally are just, those movies nobody ever tries to crap. The directors of those movies never tries to crap on anyone. They're like, it's a Marvel movie. Do you like comic books? Do you like action? That's kind of it. And the plot lines on a lot of them are whatever.
Yeah.
But I will still argue movies like Civil War Civil War is a very good plot line, but movies like Winter Soldier, that's still like, you take Captain America out of that's still a movie that people would say like, that's a great movie. So that was my only real issue. And so I am done with it now that it's opening weekend. Whatever happens now at this point. But I just wanted to point that out. I was just like, I just didn't like him. We're all in this together, and I think is the way we look at it when we're making movies. Don't you just want to support things? It's like, there's small movies. There's always been big movies, and there's always been small movies.
Right.
I just don't get the crapping on Marvel. Marvel did nothing wrong.
Well,
it just made money, right? I mean, I'm trying to think of where Marvel did something wrong, and I can't think of anything. They made money. Well, I'm sorry.
They I think that part of it is where the ire comes from. Like I said, I think that a lot of probably really great movies get drowned out by the noise of all of it. And because there is so much that, and interestingly enough, a lot of it comes from the same company. And, the Marvel thing, the Star Wars stuff, the Indiana Jones thing that we're going to see. And guess what? Avatar. It's all Disney.
Yep.
It's all Disney. And so my question, and I
wish we were Disney.
Warner has the DC stuff, and I think Universal has Fast and Furious, whatever. But I think I think the beef is probably less so with Marvel as an entity or Marvel Studios as an entity, because I do think a lot of times if you really corner those guys, they'll say like, oh, well, Kevin Feige's done an incredible job of shepherding this franchise, whatever. But I think the ires probably should be pointed more towards Disney, because there is a sense like that we're so oversaturated with this stuff, and people have become so just conditioned to consume Marvel, Star Wars, whatever, all these different properties. And so, I mean, we're guilty of it. I mean, we do reviews for, I think the first thing that we collectively did not do a review of since we started this was Wakanda Forever. And I saw it and it was good. It wasn't, mind blowing or anything, but it was a good movie. And I think that probably that's where some of these other directors get a little bit frustrated, is because they very much, they're doing their best to put out really what are at the end of the day amazing films by and large. And those films get kind of kicked to the curb because they get lost in the shuffle. And I can only imagine, like, these are guys who are all, we know most of these guys by one name, right?
Right.
Scorsese, Tarantino, Spielberg, Nolan. They're like Madonna. You know what I mean? You don't
Yeah.
need, and you wonder about, a movie like, I don't know, The Irishman, for
Mhm.
example. Like, what does that do if it's not a Martin Scorsese thing? Does anybody even care? I mean, his name carries a lot of weight, and obviously there's some
Right.
stars and whatever, but so I think really the hard part isn't so much for those guys that are, like I said, the auteurs, but just people on the come up. And it's like, and I think you kind of saw this a little bit maybe with Taika Waititi and Patty Jenkins to a degree with the Wonder Woman stuff, is like, well, I almost have to make a Marvel / DC / Star Wars thing just to get my name out there at this point. Nobody, mainstream people didn't know who Taika Waititi or Patty Jenkins were before Thor, Ragnarok, and Wonder Woman, respectively.
Mm.
There was, if you pay attention to the industry and stuff like that, you might have an idea or whatever. But I think that it is almost like you have to sell out to then go be able to make your own thing, sort of deal. And just to kind of put a pin in this is, Avatar. I think that if this does not pick up steam, because you have to assume it's only going to regress from here, although there really isn't anything, it's not really competing against anything right now.
No.
It's competing against like the tail end last gasp of Black Panther. But aside from that, there's not exactly any bangers out there that it's up against. And I don't know really what the next big thing would be, because again, this is typically that pocket for like Oscar movies that are really good, but not a lot of people see them.
Like The Fablemans is a movie that's out, but it's not a movie that will make a lot of money, even though it is
Spielberg. Yeah. So, I'm curious to see. I don't think that this will have the same tail as the first one, just because I think I saw a thing. The original was in theaters for like 280 days.
Yeah,
that's not going to happen.
Almost a year. Yeah.
That's not going to happen this time around. I can guarantee that, because there is going to be, stuff. There's going to be the Marvels. There's going to be Ant-Man. There's going to be Indiana Jones. There's going to be other, Fast 10, I think is scheduled for this year, whatever. So there's stuff.
Oh yeah.
The Flash, Shazam, all these different things. And I'm not just talking about comic movies. Those are just the ones that peak off the top of my head, because there's going to be other things, but I don't think it's Oppenheimer. June.
That would be 200 and some days.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. I'm thinking if they did that.
Right. Yeah, I just don't see this having the tail that the last one did. And I would say that if this one does not 1.5, anything under 1.5 is a failure. And then we'll see what the third one does, which is funny for a lot of different reasons. But I think that between that and if it makes that, and then the third one, it's kind of like The Matrix, right? The first Matrix movie was great. Everybody loved it. But even that was kind of like a cult thing. Like not a lot of people found it until after. And then the second two were progressively worse. And so I feel like if that happens, we're not going to get 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever. And then he doesn't have to.
He just doesn't care.
What's that?
What if funny? He just doesn't care, and he just like, we'll just keep doing it.
Well, he had the quote. He had the quote about no one else can direct these other than me, and part of it was, I can't do these indefinitely. And I think maybe, and it's crazy to say this because again, $400 million opening, he might not have to worry about it.
Yep.
So,
apparently though 3 is a perfect script from what I've read.
Right.
But,
yeah.
Also, Spielberg doesn't shit on anything.
Well, that's the other, Chris Nolan doesn't either.
Right. And it's just that, but what I liked is just Spielberg just like,
Well,
just kills it, makes great movies. People don't really talk about him. It's sort of funny. You could argue with him being the greatest living director with Scorsese, Spielberg, and Scorsese.
Tarantino.
I'm just saying you could make that argument.
I think
Spielberg
that we had this. There's
we did have this, right? Yeah, but you could just say that, and then just like, but he doesn't say anything. He's just like, you know what I made? You know what he does? He's just like E.T.
Yeah. Well,
Talk to me later.
I think
and other things, but I just like saying him like it's just like he made E.T. and that's kind of it.
I think with him, and Nolan, there is almost like this. Well, we did that too.
Yeah.
You know, because Spielberg made it E.T., he made Indiana Jones, he made Jurassic Park, and Nolan made the Dark Knight trilogy.
Yeah.
But those are all also, none of the movies that I just mentioned are not iconic.
Right.
So that has something.
And I'll end with this. Also, Spielberg and Nolan not known as dickheads. That's what I'll say.
Sure. Well, I don't think that I don't necessarily think that Scorsese and
no, I mean what I'm talking about is compared to Cameron.
Oh yeah, sure.
I'm saying because they made like Scorsese's never made like an action-y CGI movie, and Tarantino
and he never
either.
will.
So that's
right. And they never will.
But I'm saying, but people who have Nolan and Spielberg, notoriously known as actually decent human beings.
Right.
Weird, maybe a little weird, but on the Nolan end, but not dickheads. But we know that
James Cameron
Jimmy
is just pretentious.
We just know he is.
Yeah.
Bad.
So there's that. I wanted to run you through a quick exercise.
Oh, should I put my running shoes on?
No.
Oh.
I wanted to run you through a quick exercise.
I don't think I could do a sub 540, but
I'm not asking you to.
Okay.
This is more of a mental, we like to break a mental sweat. Do you remember the cartoon from back in the 90s called Pro Stars? It had one season.
No.
You don't remember this?
No, I do not.
You don't remember Pro Stars? Pro Stars.
Let me look it up. Let me look it up.
Oh, as soon as you see it, you're gonna know it.
Okay,
yeah.
I will also say after seeing it, nope.
You don't remember this?
It looks like Michael Jordan.
Yeah, Michael Jordan, Wayne Gretzky,
and Bo Jackson.
Yes.
Is that who it is? Just looking at the cartoons, that's who they look like.
Yeah, that's who they are.
Renditions. I don't remember this.
So this was a 1991. That's shocking to me. This is a 1991.
I didn't have cable
series.
Or anything.
Well, this was on. It was on NBC. It was on NBC.
Oh wow! I somehow don't. How did this? Is it available to rewatch?
I don't know, but there's only 13 episodes.
Of
all time.
Taylor Swift.
Let's not. I don't want to do that. Can we not? 13 is Taylor Swift's lucky number. It's everybody's fucking lucky number. All right.
She was born on December 13th.
I don't care. I don't care.
I'm just telling you why.
I don't care. Okay.
13 tracks.
I don't care. I do not care about anything that she does, except cocaine, because she's definitely done that. Pro Stars was this animated series. It was Michael Jordan, Wayne Gretzky, and Bo Jackson. Okay.
I love it.
So already. I want you to recast Pro Stars. I want you to recast Pro Stars with today's athletes.
Okay. So basketball.
Well, you don't have to have. Listen, it's you got 4 sports to pull from.
Okay.
Which means you don't have to have a hockey player.
Oh, I was gonna have Connor McDavid. Connor McDavid is the hockey player. Best hockey player there is right now.
I didn't know that.
The best. I would have LeBron though. I would have LeBron. Just because I think it'd be funny to have LeBron.
I think you have to have LeBron.
I would have. Let's see. We're just doing American sports.
Yeah.
Okay, because I would have.
Well, Gretzky was. Gretzky was Canadian, wasn't he? Isn't he?
No, but he played hockey, which is American. NHL's like an American.
Yeah, it's
more
one of the
American
4.
teams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Here's what I would do. If we're just, I would go LeBron. I would go Mike Trout.
Ooh.
Mike Trout.
Okay.
And
so one of them is going to be like every episode he's going to get hurt. Got it.
And also be the best at everything until he gets hurt.
Right. But gets hurt every episode.
And then my third would be Patrick Mahomes.
I like that.
Because I wanted to do 3 different sports at the very least. But if I had to have hockey, I would replace Mike Trout with Connor McDavid.
Yeah, sure.
Sure, I'm a hockey guy.
I'm going to stick with Mahomes. I like that. But I'm going to go Steph. Because I think he's my Gretzky. He's my little crafty guy.
Sure.
And then Mahomes is kind of in the MJ role where he's just very all around. He's the leader. And then for my Bo Jackson, who was kind of like the big dumb, like the dumb and tough, basically.
I like
I'm going
dumb and tough.
I'm going Aaron Judge.
Oh, I like
That's his name, right?
Awesome.
His name's Aaron, right? I didn't.
It is Aaron Judge, the American League MVP, and also signed like the gazillion-dollar contract.
I was pretty sure. Yeah.
His name's Adam Judge.
For some reason, I couldn't remember his first name. I was like, I think it's Aaron.
Aaron Judge.
It's like Tom Judge.
Tom Judge.
Judge Reinhold.
What a name that would be. Tom Judge.
Yeah.
Did this show have special guest stars?
No, it was just the 3.
That's too bad. Was it voiced by the actual?
No.
Oh, that's too bad.
But they signed off for their characterized likenesses.
That's good.
Yeah.
Oh, they made cereal.
Oh yeah. I'm really surprised.
I'm gonna see if I can find this because I definitely want to watch it.
There's at least some clips. I gotta be on YouTube.
I gotta watch it. I'm stoked about it.
Yeah. Let's talk about.
What's funny is you have two sport athletes in this show, the original show, and the greatest hockey player of all time. So you have Bo Jackson, football and baseball.
I think calling Michael Jordan a 2-sport athlete is a stretch.
Hey, you know what? Read some stuff about Michael Jordan near the end of his baseball playing career.
Oh, I know, because Tito Francona was his manager,
right?
And he said, "Give him another 2 years, and he would have been an all-star starter."
Yeah, this is the thing. There's a part of me, even though I'm a huge Jordan Bulls fan.
Yeah.
I would have loved to see that. I would have loved to see Michael Jordan fucking raking in 310, stealing 35 bases a year.
Yeah.
There's something about that. It would have been so cool. Better than him winning 3 more championships, I think. There would have been a different.
Nah, because we would have got the 72-10 team.
That's true. That is true. Unless he does both at the same time, Bo Jackson, Deion Sanders style. Oh! If I could have recasted this, I would have put Deion Sanders in there.
You can't. He's retired. He's a coach.
I know. But I love Deion.
Yeah.
No, I mean in this show that I would have had.
When did he get drafted? When did his playing career start?
89.
Yeah, it's a stretch.
Deion, though.
91 was when this aired.
Go back and watch anything Deion. Coach Prime. Dude,
he wasn't a great baseball player.
He was a good baseball player, and he's the best cornerback of all time and the best returner of all time. Also, just amazing. I love Deion Sanders. Watch him play at Florida State, too. Watch Deion Sanders at Florida State. You couldn't do anything. But I digress. We'll move on. But I do love this. I'm glad you brought that up. I like my team. I like your team, too.
Yeah. I think LeBron
had LeBron.
Yeah, too obvious for me.
Well, Michael Jordan's also the too obvious pick, though, right? At that time.
Well, no, yeah, but I think that there's alternatives to LeBron, like Steph or.
I think the only thing
Zion
is that
Williamson could be your dumb and tough.
Yeah, but having Trout in there was nice. I like the blonde. I had the blonde guy in there. Well, Trout could be my dumb and tough.
Yeah. Well, he's also gets hurt all the time, so
Well, I mean, just because
that's
he just goes 100% all the time.
something. Yeah, 80,
Mike Trout.
89 for
Mike Trout's the only player I've ever seen legitimately rob a home run in person. Legitimately rob a home run, not this bullshit stuff where people pretend like it's a legit. I'm talking like you climb the wall and the ball's gone if that guy doesn't catch it.
right.
Seeing him do that in person, it was amazing. It was the best defensive play I've ever seen in my life. It was a rocket, and he ripped it out of the air. He's the best athlete other than Michael Jordan I've ever seen in person.
Let's talk about TV shows.
Let's do it.
PBC episode 3, and Sarah has to figure out a way, especially after poisoning one of the sales team, to get them to use her expense reporting application. And so she decides to have an open bar, open credit card, spend as much as you like, outing at the mini golf course, and which ends up hilarity, especially given that the sales team continued to go over budget. Dave gets his kids a Switch. Hunter is the mom magnet, and Jamie has a birthday party. So, what was your take on the third episode here?
Number one, I've been to that golf and stuff.
Oh, really?
I've been there. Yeah, it's in
LA?
Ventura, California. Yeah, so a little in between where I live and LA. So I've been there, which is hilarious. So I know that layout well. I've played both the north and the south course there, so that was fun. I thought this episode, this show has no misses. It continues to hit, and I honestly, this was exactly what you want, a little outgoing thing. Let's do this. Sarah has to try to be cool, which Sarah trying to be cool is
Funny.
just absolutely absurd.
Yeah.
Because she can't do it. Like, it's just, her ability to be cool is so bad and so funny. And that makes me laugh. But the best part of this is Jamie. There's now a part where this is Jamie's show.
Yeah.
I just do. I just want to see Jamie, but you also don't want to see, like, because you don't want to see too much of him because you don't want him to be the show. But when he's in it, it's a grand slam. And somehow there's no one on base, but yet 4-run score. It's incredible. It's just, I have messaged him on Instagram, and the guy's like definitely like down to like just whatever on this. And so that's very cool. But hopefully we get him on. That's my point, is hopefully we get him on to talk about this, because, and I've watched the latest episode too.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, we are recording a little bit later
a little bit later than normal. But I will say his storyline in this, especially when his mom is it has me in tears. Like, it literally, I was like having kind of a weird day anyhow, because it's just like that last week of school before breaks, everything's chaotic. And then you just watch this and it's like, this is what we need. So I thought the golf course thing, but this also was a Dave episode. We finally get Dave back in the mix, and that made me real happy. The Sherry O'Terry battle with Dave. Mm-hmm. Her kids are spoiled, and his kids are just, if you've watched this show, and if you haven't watched this show, just do it, because you'll love it. Like, if you don't like this show, you have a problem. That's one of those things. Watch it, you'll love it. It's amazing. It's so funny. But this Dave episode, the power struggle between him and his kids, it's great. The show is so good. That's, and I'm not saying this just because we've had someone. I just honestly think this show is great.
Yeah, I think that this one, again, same as the last one, hits all the notes, and every character gets a little bit of time to shine. Hunter and his like pursuit of Sarah it was very entertaining and also like kind of cringy in the
Yes.
best kind of comedic way. Excuse me. And I think like him with the moms, and then one of them's Jamie's mom, was like I think the thing about this show is that it sets up really well. It sets up for later really
Yeah.
well a
Yeah.
lot of the times. And I think that this was a perfect example of that because, you set it up with kind of introducing Jamie's mom, and then she's just there with a birthday cake for him because it's his birthday, and he's like, oh, to Michaela, and then the dopey sales guy that was one half of the Kings of Barstow, like, oh, you guys remembered and you're here for me. And then they all just really awkwardly sing him happy birthday. And he has to make a wish. And it's just so, because the character's
If you
self-awareness
say the
is
wish out
just
loud.
non-existent. His self-awareness is just non-existent.
Yeah.
And it's, and then even with the Dave storyline, it was just a setup. You knew it was a setup. You knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
His kids were going to get the switch and they were going to tear it apart because they're a pack of wild animals. But it didn't stop it from being any less funny in the moment. Because immediately you knew it was coming immediately. And then there's, there's the sales team just has hibachi like on the ninth or whatever. And then there's a holographic Tupac, and Sarah's drunk and has an upside down visor, and her being funny, or her trying to be cool is funny because there are people who are not cool and try really hard to be cool by doing or saying things to try to fit in with a certain group of people or try to project like they belong to a certain group of people. But even with Sarah trying as hard as she can to be cool, she just doesn't she just doesn't have it in her.
The thing I'll say is everyone, and I'm not pointing out anyone specific, but everyone has that friend that just learned swear words.
Sure. Yeah.
When you're younger.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
And they don't know how to use them. So they just use them all the time. And it's bad. It just sounds funnier. Like, don't swear because, like, just quit swearing because it's not funny. And you don't have, and that's Sarah. Like, and it's that thing where it's just like she can't do it. Please stop doing it because it actually makes us seem less cool because you're in our group and now.
Yeah.
And that's all I can think about is that person that just learned swear words or just wants to start using swear words, and it cracks me up.
Well, and it's like the kid who waited until their 21st birthday to drink, and then they're wilding out, and the rest of their friends have been drinking since they were like 17.
Right. Yeah, I don't know anything about that.
Was that you?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. No, I never.
Well, aren't you?
Aren't
you a law-abiding citizen?
It was because someone in our friend group was just like, "Oh, you'll drink." Like she was all like getting up on me, and I was like, "No, I just won't now." So I did it out of spite. And if you know me, I'll do anything out of spite.
Yeah,
I'm a big spite guy.
I know. That's why we're on episode 150 at this point. I think this is the 150th episode.
I'll keep going. I'll grind out anything. Tell me I can't do something, I'll do it till I die.
Well, in that case, I don't think that you can write the episodes, edit the episodes, do the thumbnails for the episodes.
That's your thing.
Do all the but I'm just saying you can't do it. I don't think you can do it.
I'll do it.
I don't think you can.
I'll do it.
Just trying to take some off my plate. Yeah.
Hey, I've always said I'll help whenever you want me to, but I feel like you wouldn't want me to.
I would like to say that I have not seen the 4th episode. We are a little bit behind in recording. So I'll probably watch that within the next day or so. But
I only watched it because I needed that gap filled. which is a great PBC joke. Also, you got a sweet puss.
Damn it. Yeah. Okay. That's what I totally forgot about that because we went longer and I was going to introduce you as that.
I died. I had to pause it.
Oh my God.
You know, Sarah Bush, you're sweet. You're a sweet puss. It's such
And with
it's
that,
so good.
oh, we're halfway through. This the bummer about this is that we're halfway through, because I really wish this could be 24
25
episodes.
episodes. Yeah, exactly.
Full season.
It's
Give me
so
a full
funny.
season. Yeah, that's great. Okay. So PBC, YouTube, Flowcast Studios, check it out. Very
Watch
funny,
it.
obviously. Watch it. And it's phenomenal. It's so funny. And I've said this before, and I think that this is probably the hook for a lot of people is that if you like The Office, if you like Parks and Rec, if you like shows like that, this is full of the DNA of those shows. And I think that, it's pretty can't miss. Every episode from the first 6 through season 1 and then the first 3 of season 2 here, not a weak spot in the entire run. There's not one episode where it was like, I could probably not watch that one again if I was going to go back through this, but no, they're all excellent. And obviously looking forward to more.
Yeah, for sure.
So we'll move on. Pinocchio. Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, available on Netflix, nominated for a Golden Globe for Best Animated Picture, starring a veritable all-star cast of characters. Ewan McGregor as Sebastian J. Cricket. Edward Bradley, I believe is his name, is Geppetto, if that's accurate. Christopher Waltz also shows up here as the Count. And the kick-ass Duke. Okay, David Bradley as Geppetto. Ewan McGregor, Gregory Mann as Pinocchio, the little boy, Bern Gorman, John Turturro, Ron Perlman as Podesta, Finn Wolfhard as Candlewick, Kate Blanchett as Spazzatura, which didn't make sense to me because that's just the monkey. Tilda Swinton as the Wood Sprite. Christopher Waltz, Count Volpe. Tim Blake Nelson is the Black Rabbit. So all-star cast, stop motion animation. I would recommend with this the 35-minute featurette, also found on Netflix, with the making of this particular film. Obviously, it is the story of Pinocchio from the novel from the late 1800s, reimagined in a way that is, I think, very heartbreaking.
Yes.
In the sense that how this sort of pans out versus the Disney animated and then the subsequent Disney live action film that also debuted last year with Tom Hanks and Joseph Gordon-Levitt. What did you think of Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio?
I mean, when you brought the part about being heartbreaking, I always forget how effed up Pinocchio actually is, the real storyline. He goes to hell and he keeps dying, all that. I loved it. I was fully, when we talk about things being visually captivating, this was that. When the big whale comes out and that happens, that's moving. There's something about that where it really just kind of holds. And I'll be honest, the Pinocchio, Disney Pinocchio is not one of my favorites. It's okay. It is what it is, but it just doesn't really do a lot for me compared to other, I guess, Disney princess movies or something. But this one just had me. It was just it, beginning and end really good. The storyline was really good. You get irritated with Pinocchio. You get irritated with certain characters or whatever. But like at the end of the day, there is that actual storyline about being good and being like caring and putting kind of the things out there and not Jiminy Cricket, but Jiminy Cricket,
Sebastian J.
saving Sebastian J. Cricket saving his wish to save Pinocchio and all these different little things that just really work. And then it's just so beautifully put together that it's just a great movie. And for me, it was one of those things where like they don't make them like they, it sounds funny, but it's like they don't make them like they used to. Yeah. And this was that kind of movie where it hits everything. And it was 2 hours, but it didn't feel like 2 hours. Like when you told me it was 2 hours, like, oh boy.
Yeah.
No, like I was like, when it was over, I was like, okay, like that was fine. I wasn't like, I didn't necessarily need more or anything, but I was like, this was the perfect length of this movie because I didn't think there was anything that was filler. I thought that everything worked in the middle, even if it was something that didn't necessarily seem necessary. I still think it worked because you're still trying to make a movie. And then also it just fits so perfectly. For me, it was heartbreaking in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Entirely heartbreaking. I mean, you sent me a text about it and it's even more heartbreaking than someone telling you it is. I mean, that's rough. And then Pinocchio's story is heartbreaking, on all accounts, because he does wrong, he does right, he can't figure it out.
Yeah.
And that's kind of life. I mean, I think that's what makes this one so, for me, so endearing is it's more lifelike. It's more of like, yeah, sometimes we F up and sometimes we need to like be accountable. And I think that for me, you had mentioned that this might be, the best movie of the year or something like that. And I don't necessarily know if it's up there though. I'll be honest, like it's definitely up there. Is it my favorite movie of the year? Probably not, but I liked it way more than I was expecting to. I will 100% say that.
I think from a story perspective, the old saying, I was born at night, but not last night, kind of rings true here because Pinocchio literally was born last night. And then he's thrust into this role of being this drunk's, this guy who's basically a drunk, his replacement son. And he doesn't know the world. He's trying to learn and do the best he can. And I really appreciated the fact that we all know the story of Pinocchio, where Pinocchio, he lies and his nose grows, right? That wasn't, it feels like to me, watching back with the Disney animated that's the story here is you shouldn't tell lies because your nose will grow. And that's what the moral of the Disney story was. But whereas with this, they use that as a story device on one or two occasions. And then towards the end, it was like a whole thing, but it wasn't beaten over your head because that's not what was important. That wasn't the message that was important. And I think that as much as anything, this was very much a movie about the bonds that we have, and then also understanding that there will be a time when you have to let go.
Yeah. And
so the themes were very mature. The movie was in many respects pretty dark. I thought if this does not win best animated at the Oscars, then somebody fucked up, right?
Yeah,
somebody made a boo-boo. And I think that this could also likely should be nominated for a lot of the technical awards as well. Obviously art direction, things of that nature, set design. Did you watch the making of featurette?
I did not.
Oh my
I will.
God.
I just haven't watched it yet.
I think that for me personally, having watched that really retroactively enhanced the experience of watching the movie, because you see just how wild these stop motion, because this is all stop motion and these are all like various puppets and what have you. And Pinocchio, for example, when they use him, like the main puppet that they're using, which is probably about this big, and he has these silicone replaceable faces. And that was one of the things that I didn't necessarily think about it per se, other than just being like blown away by it and marveling at the technique. But they say in the featurette, Guillermo del Toro is known for to be a live action director, and one of the things that he wanted to bring from live action to stop motion and animation in these puppets is being able to convey thoughts and emotions as they're happening in real time on the characters' faces. And I think that that's the thing that it was like, to me, this is more. So we had the conversation earlier in the podcast episode. So if you're just listening on or watching on video, you check out the pod episode. But when you talk about art direction or design, I don't see how you can compare something like Avatar or any of the Marvel things or any of the CGI stuff to this. This is a mastercraft in art. Like, this is master's level art design and art direction. And like I've said it before, like animation, I'm a sucker for hand-drawn animation, and stop motion animation is timeless. Yeah. It's timeless, and we look at things like CGI and computer generated animation, and it's like, well, we have we started with something like Toy Story, and now we have something like Avengers Endgame. But to me, something like this is always going to look good. And I thought that it's, and they say in the featurette that it is kind of a lost art, but yeah, I mean, the story was, I mean, at the end of the day, it's Pinocchio. It's a new take or a new spin on the classic tale of Pinocchio, and maybe with a little bit more adult themes. But to me, the thing that really stands out about this is just how beautiful it was, how lifelike they made all of the characters seem, the attention to detail down to like the weathering on the buttons in Geppetto's coat was just incredible. I think that there should be a lot of hardware coming to the folks that made this movie.
I agree. I mean, just without seeing that yet, it was just the attention to detail just on Pinocchio.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool. So I am looking for, I will watch it. I just honestly forgot to watch that 30-minute extra special, but I will, because I think it probably is very cool, and I'm excited because I really like this movie.
Yeah. Excellent. I would say as far as watching with your kids, mine got bored. They weren't like scared or anything.
I could see that. Yeah.
They just kind of like were, because it is a little long, that sort of thing. But the beginning might be a little heavy for some kids, I would say. But overall, what would you give it out of 10?
A 9.
I think that this and Into the Spider-Verse, best animated movies of the last 10 years.
Because I don't think me, it's like Toy Story is like a 10. Right? The original Toy Story is a 10 animated feature. And so it's very good. I mean, it also was so ahead of its time and did some things that were so different. And still holds up really well. But yeah, so I'd say this is a 9 for sure.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good barometer. I think anytime that you're dealing with stop motion, for me, the standard is
different animation. Right.
Yeah, that's not what I was going to say though. For me, the standard for stop motion is probably Nightmare Before Christmas. And I think that this is probably, in the same vein as that.
We just watched it last night or 2 nights ago.
Right.
That movie is still killer. I can't.
That's like I said. That's
I can't get over how good that movie is.
Yeah. But this is it's like I would say a 9. Yeah, 9 out of 10.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, moving along. Willow, episode 4. Yes, 4.
4. 4.
Yeah, the crew takes shelter in a castle formerly occupied by the grandmother of Kit, who was defeated in the original film. And probably not a great idea to just, I mean, surely there was a cave or something, but it showed everybody some things that they didn't want to see and didn't want to hear, and
It was
feelings they didn't
weird.
want to feel, and those whole things. And Graydon, his character got afflicted at the end of the third episode by the dark magic, and they had to figure out a way to get that out of him, get the lich out of him. And
The
so
Lich.
they rummaging around the castle to try to find the proper ingredients to do this, to make this happen. Alora and Willow eventually do their magic stuff and are able to get that going. But meanwhile, Kit and Jade are, having their on again, off again thing where they're mad at each other and then they're not. And you don't
Hot
understand.
in
No,
there,
you don't
cold.
understand. That sort of thing. And then Borman is constantly just trying to treasure hunt everywhere he's at. Borman is the great value Jack Sparrow. I think we
Yeah,
can agree to that. But I
great
like
value.
it.
But like him, yeah, he's
But I like it.
enjoyable. He's just, yeah.
Yeah. So what did you think of Willow episode 4?
It was the weirdest of the episodes so far. It was tough. It was like a tough watch because it was just so weird. I liked it fine. I I will say the thing. I don't think this show knows exactly what it is yet, and that I think that might be the problem. I don't think it knows what it is, and so there's the parts of like, oh, we got this. We're seeing stuff we don't want to see, but then we also have Toro doing his thing where he's like, honey. And if you don't know what you're doing, I don't necessarily know. And as someone who has said, like, I had high expectations for this show, even though like coming back and doing more nights and all that gobbledygook stuff was like something I was not necessarily looking forward to. This show just seems a little disjointed at this point. And I thought the episode was okay, but it's not pushing anything. There's nothing to
Well,
me that's yeah, for me, that's it. I
I
think
think
there's not.
that,
It's not pushing anything. And Kid is annoying as hell. I
yeah,
will
that
100%
character
say that.
is, that character is rough.
Yeah.
But I think that this is an episode that really connects to the film, which you haven't seen. And
Right. Right.
so
Right.
that it might not touch as deeply for you as it would for, the watcher who has seen it. I haven't seen that movie in a really long time, though. I have seen it. I used to own it on VHS, I think, which is, tells you how long ago that was. But I do think that that's kind of what they were doing here, is trying to connect the old with the new. And you wonder how much I wonder how much that they really even should have gone back to this well. I think when, Disney and Lucas merged and the rights for this came over, there was a clamoring to do something. But I think that not having the ability to have Val Kilmer, who was really the star of the original along with Warwick Davis, have him involved in any kind of tangible way other than having his character be mentioned is kind of a hurt piece for this. And you wonder, that merger happened back in what, like 13 or 14, and if they've had
Yeah.
this kind of in development, and you wonder maybe if they did have plans to include him. I don't know, but it just seems like very average Disney Plus fare.
Yep.
And I think
I
that
think you're right.
is we're at this kind of point where with the Disney Plus stuff where it's like, okay, this is either going to be pretty good or maybe a little bit below average. I would say it's kind of Netflix in a lot of ways.
Mhm.
But I think that that's where this struggle is. I feel like there's too many characters. There's too many characters to keep track of. You can like the storylines are incredibly predictable at this point.
Yeah.
Kit and Jade have their thing. I think it's pretty obvious that Alora and Graydon are a little bit more alike, and he's certainly got eyes for her, and I think that she's kind of got eyes for him. Borman's just doing whatever. He's probably the best part of this show because number one, his weapon choice, which is just like a giant meat cleaver, is
Love it.
It's so far off the beaten path. I do like Jade's weapon, and I mentioned this how she can put the sheath on at the bottom and make it like almost like a halberd. I like that. Borman being great value Jack Sparrow is like it's entertaining. His antics make the show, adds a little bit of levity, makes the show maybe a little bit more fun. But I do think that I'm not sure how many episodes. I think it's 8, but it needs to kind of hit its stride, like quick, fast, and in a hurry. Yeah. So, because this episode was a lot of development, it was a lot of exposition, things of that nature. But I need a little bit more, basically.
Same. Yeah. I feel disappointed by what it's done so far.
I don't know if I would say that I'm disappointed because through the first 3 episodes, I liked it. The third episode was pretty good. This one was just kind of a step back for me. So
I guess I was expecting more at this point. Like you said, the first 3 episodes were good, and the fourth one just kind of was a dud. And it's like, what are we doing? So, but we'll see.
All right. Yeah, we will move on here.
Those are too many.
To Chainsaw Man we go. And I had a couple issues with this episode, but we'll get to that. The basic tenor is that the team survived the onslaught somehow, and Aki, barely alive, has to sign a lease with the new devil because his are out. He only has about 2 years to live based on the curse from the sword. And Denji and Power get a new trainer, the best devil hunter ever, who's also a horrible alcoholic. And we learn that basically, as long as they keep dumping blood down both of their gullets, they're pretty much immortal.
Yeah.
So that's fun. And they try to get the drop on him and that sort of thing. But thoughts. This is before you jump into this. This is another one, and I've talked about it throughout the series. This is another just anime trope that's found in so many of these shows where it's like, okay, you're really good at fighting or whatever, but you're not quite good enough. So we're going to have to give you a trainer. And that trainer, most of the time, is going to be kind of a piece of shit. Like a little bit of a has-been, past his prime, but still can kick your ass. And we're going to need you to sift through that person's personal baggage and allow them to make you better. So, with that being said, what were your takeaways?
It reminded me of like a drama on like ABC that would be on like Thursdays at 10. Based off what you said, and I had that already set up, where it's like, okay, you're going to be a lawyer, but wait a second, we got to bring this other guy that's been doing law now for he's went through it all. He's seen everything. He's forgotten more than you'll ever know, but he's also an alcoholic, and that's like literally the idea. It was so weird that you said I read it because I was just like, when I'm watching this, I'm laughing. It's like, this is an ABC show on Thursdays at 10. The way this episode was built up. Exactly that.
With a lot more blood and
but with a lot more blood, but like that
boobs.
doesn't even really matter. It's like kind of that thing where like that there's a point where it's like Chainsaw Man, like the blood and stuff doesn't even matter anymore. Once you've seen it, you've seen it. Like throwing up in the mouth was gross and that sucked. That was disgusting. But like the blood is just the blood. And somehow they got through it, which I mean, that's a whole other thing. I don't know how they actually survived that, but whatever. It was very tropey. I didn't like it. Like I said, it was a weird and wild episode, and it just didn't. I don't know. I think it was just that, like I said, it was the ABC drama on Thursdays or whatever would be like the worst night of the week for like a ABC drama. It's the
Tuesday.
worst Tuesday. Okay, fine. Tuesday, worst night for an ABC drama because it's just taking like literally the tropes that every single drama's ever used, and that's what we did. It's like, well, here we're gonna bring in the best we have, but he's not really the best. He's just better
Yeah.
than you, and then he's also got his own problems, and we have to learn from that. So I really like this show, but this episode just I was pretty over with pretty quickly, honestly. It just didn't make sense to me. I honestly didn't enjoy it. It was the first episode I think I would say I just didn't enjoy.
I liked it. I think that
Good.
part of that is because, like, having seen this storyline and so many things prior, like Naruto and Full Metal Alchemist, stuff like that, you get the feel for it. And then I get dialed into, because this show is insane, what are they going to have to do to beat this guy? And so that's what I am like dialed into, because in my head, I'm like, okay, well, eventually they're going to win because they have to get better to be able to take down the gun devil, whatever. But to do that, it's going to require complete and total insanity. And so I was in on it, and seeing them kind of come up with this plan where they're going to ambush him and then it just completely goes awry was also pretty entertaining. But the Aki side story, or the B story, whatever you want to call it, was a little bit, it's kind of a downer, but I think it was supposed to be. I mean, this was like, we just came off of several really big battle episodes, right?
Yeah.
So this one was kind of reset things a little bit. You okay? You look like you look like you were trying really hard to like not shit yourself.
No, it's not that.
Or maybe to try to shit yourself.
Back muscle problem that I'm trying to just deal with. It's okay. I'll be okay.
All right.
I'll survive.
Don't poop your pants.
I won't do that.
Nobody wants that. That's face is going on a thumbnail, though. I can guarantee that.
Good. I hope so.
Yeah.
Back spasming, middle of the episode.
Yeah, back spasming.
We fight. We try hard.
Shit yourself. Back spasm.
I would never shit myself.
You don't know that.
I would never let myself shit myself.
I would never let myself shit myself. I think you need that on a mug. Anyway,
yeah, that when you do one of those videos again, that's gonna be.
Oh yeah,
what I say.
I've been thinking about that.
Holiday edition.
Anyway, what were we talking about? Chainsaw Man.
The show.
I think that because of how, I think due to the truncated nature, how there's no filler, which I love about this show. It's one of my favorite things, is that this training exercise, which would usually last almost an entire season in many other shows, or at least 10, 12 episodes, I think it'll probably resolve itself by the end of next week's episode.
Yeah, it was 3 minutes in this episode, and then it'll be 4 minutes next episode.
Yeah. This show moves fast, and there's no standard anime. We're just gonna stand here and yell at each other.
No
filler in these episodes, and I think that is in the case of one viewer, genuinely appreciated.
I mean, I have not. It didn't insult me on the show at all. It was just a little bit of a letdown, but I'm still thinking this show is awesome. I love it. It's so much fun.
Media recommendations.
Okay. My first one is going back on like stuff. We watched The Room with Brie Larson because Janie.
Is it The Room or Room?
Or Room? I think it's Room.
Room.
Sorry,
and then I think The Room is bad movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also great movie. It's a great bad movie.
I don't know. I've never.
You should.
Seen it.
Tell me we
Yeah.
so. It's hilarious. But Room, Brie Larson, really good. White Lotus finale, since we haven't talked since then. White Lotus, incredible show. Season 2 is so good. And then Holiday Light Fight, Holiday Chop, just for that. Watch the World Cup finale today. That was great. Just, that was fun. Claus, Klaus. It was a animated feature
on Netflix. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. It's kind of like this origin story of Santa Claus.
I think that came out last year, maybe the year before.
2019. It was 2019.
Way further back than I thought.
Because it was nominated for Best Animated Feature.
Yeah.
It's great. I will 100% say it's great. So I would go with that. And yeah, that's it for me. I just, with bowl games and not working for a couple weeks is nice too. How about you, Brian?
I finished. I completed the story of God of War Ragnarok, and now I'm just doing all the post game activities, and then I will be moving on to the next project there. But I've just had a lot of stuff. Like, we had some sick kids in the house, and that's why we didn't record on Friday. And then
your own kids?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you knew that, and so I don't know why you said that.
Or it was like sick, like they're just so cool.
Oh no,
like sick kids.
Well, they're that too, but no,
they are that.
That rocked me off my train of thought. But I have like a lot of. I mean, I've been like free time. I've been putting into God of War, but I've started up like, I don't know, 4 or 5 different side projects, which is funny because this is my side project. And so now my
job, this is your job, Brendan.
Right. Yeah. But now my side projects have side projects. And so I'm like,
including stop motion.
Yeah, we I'll send it to you after we're done, but
motion picture?
30 seconds.
That's pretty good.
But anyway, yeah, mess around with that.
9 hours to do probably then.
Mess around with that a little bit today. I'm writing.
Figured out riddles.
Yeah.
Did you figure that out? Was that the actual figure it out?
I'll let you know tomorrow or whenever we get the answers.
Damn, that thing messed with my brain.
Yeah. I've been writing like a whatever we're calling it for the Substack. I have a pretty lengthy essay that I'm still working on, and like getting all the shit out, all the videos out has been, and just, trying to be productive at my actual day job, which is a challenge for me.
The thing least important though, I would hope.
Yeah, probably. But I think that, it's important to be productive.
And for all those people on the Substack, sorry I didn't write anything this weekend. I'm going to have a bunch of stuff come out now because I'm not working. I was just kind of coming off of all the school stuff. But one thing I will have for all those Swifties out there, I'm going to rank every single Taylor Swift song. I'm going to do it. So get ready for that. I'm also
there's so many more productive ways to spend your time.
No, there isn't. Not for me. Not for me. I don't have stuff to do. I'm also the other one I just want to do is the rankings thing in general. So I'm gonna have the rankings thing, rankings, the importance of ranking rankings, and then ranking Taylor Swift. There's gonna be a back-to-back day. And that's it. And then just I'm gonna have a holiday theme one. Expect a couple this week, if not 3. I have a couple just already wrote up, ready to go. I just need to proofread them to make for grammar. So
I don't proofread. My writing is perfect.
Perfect. Good for you. I just proofread to make sure I can make it more perfect.
BXG podcast publishes at 9 3-on-3, who wins? Shaq, LeBron, and Kobe versus Larry Bird, Michael Jordan, and Hakeem Olajuwon.
I'm gonna go with Jordan team.
Yeah, me
in
too.
that
I
one.
actually don't even think it's close.
I think it's close, but I think what happens is it's Jordan.
I don't even think it's just that it's Jordan. It's just like Larry Bird is probably the most underappreciated superstar
Well,
in the history of basketball.
Larry Bird is my second favorite basketball player of all time, and he plays on my least favorite
Yeah.
basketball team.
Yeah.
Like
Larry
I
Bird,
hate the
what's the
Celtics, essentially hate the Celtics, and I love Larry Bird.
Larry Bird? Didn't he drop like 28 in a game just using his left hand? Just like
Yeah, he
fucking
also
around.
just was the biggest shit talker of all time.
Yeah.
Like he would hear the other team say something like, "We're gonna really stress our guarding Larry tonight," and he'd go over and like, "Well, I'm gonna drop 35 on you in 3 quarters,"
Yeah.
and then he would do it.
Right.
He would just
Hakeem
do it.
Olajuwon, also criminally underrated. Go back and watch those Rockets Magic finals. You'll see.
Just watch him. Just watch him.
Yeah. Watch
That's
him.
the thing.
Watch him
Do
in the
anything.
playoffs. Watch him in the playoffs against David Robinson and the Spurs, the year
Yeah.
that Robinson got the MVP and Hakeem didn't, and he absolutely eviscerates him.
This is, I will say, of all things in our life that I wish we could do these things. Like, I wish we could take the Jordan Bulls 72 team, have them play whatever. I don't care, whatever team you want. Just see what it happens. I'm not
The
saying the Bulls would
73 and
win.
9 Warriors.
Yeah, but that team didn't even win a title, so I don't even
Right.
care about them.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, a team that's won a title, that's done something, and like play one of the Lakers, something like that. Play one of the Celtics teams. I wish we could do that. That's like
Yeah.
the only. There's so many things else we could do. We could save world hunger, like solve world hunger. No, I just want to see the best teams of all
And
time in
apartheid, for
basketball.
example.
Yeah,
There's a lot more to
apartheid, for
worry
example.
about than Sri Lanka.
No,
Cure the
this is
virus.
the thing I actually care about. Is
I beat the virus.
I beat the virus. I wish, in no other sport does this become a debate. Only basketball, NBA basketball, is it like, well, Jordan's teams, could they have beat these teams? It's like, I don't know, but I would love to see it because
Well, I think the only other
if there's a way to do that.
I think the only other corollary is certain pitchers against certain hitters, like not teams.
Yeah,
like
okay,
what
yeah.
would Sandy Koufax do against like Barry Bonds? You know what I mean?
Strike him out.
Like what would Pedro Martinez do against Hank Aaron? You know what I mean? Those sort of
Yeah,
things.
I would love to see stuff like that. I mean, probably Pedro against Babe Ruth would be the best thing because it's lefty on righty, and
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I just would. I know there's no way to actually do that. I know I'm saying something, but wouldn't you just love to see like the best Lakers team of all time against Jordan's 72, which isn't even the best Bulls team. The best Bulls team is the second championship team in the 90s. That's actually what most people think is the best Bulls team.
The one that beat the Blazers?
Yeah. Most people
With
think
Horace
that's
Grant?
actually the best. Yeah. Most people think that's the best team.
I'm
not saying that I do. I'm just saying that's what a lot of people, like Michael Wilbon, thinks that's the best. He covered the Bulls and was there. Sure. And I would just, there's something, because also I'm like a huge, Michael Jordan fan, but it would just be something to do that. It's also that thing of like, well, what if Barry Sanders had
a real offensive line?
Yeah, sure. There's all those little stupid things like that we can never actually prove.
Right.
But
yeah, sure.
God, I'd love that. I would love for that to happen.
Yeah, there's a lot of
do that, Elon Musk.
Do
that. Make this
there's
happen.
There's a lot of cool stuff like that to talk about. But
yeah,
you can hear us talk most Fridays at 9 a.m., but some Mondays too, and some Wednesdays even. Might even get you on a Wednesday. You never know. But social medias, BXG Productions, BXG Prods on the Instagram and the Twitter. Alpha Donut Guy for me. I don't know what that is. Oh, you're
prodding
prodding?
someone.
I
Yeah.
think prodding is more of a ha ha.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
more of like that was
A
like
probe.
like
That was more of a probe.
yeah, like an
That was
alien in a
more.
butthole.
Yeah.
Like an alien in a butthole. I'll never let myself shit myself.
A
Um,
Ford Probe was the name of a car.
never tell you that joke that I know about this joke. Do you want me to tell a joke? I can wrap the show up with
Yeah.
a joke. All right. So there's
Yeah, I love it.
three guys sitting in a bar. Okay. First guy says, I am a pimp. That is my occupation. And I drive a beat up escort. Makes sense, right?
Yeah, sure.
Second guy says, well, I am an astronaut and I drive a um Mercury Saturn. Mercury Saturn, not a thing, but you get
That's
it.
not a car.
Right. Okay. Third guy says, well, I'm a proctologist and I drive a shitty probe. Take care, everybody. Thanks for listening.
The Ass Man.